All right, we're going live. Hello, everybody. I just got done watching the Lakers get knocked out of the NBA playoffs. Kind of mixed feelings about it. It was kind of it's probably the first basketball game, and I watched it. I don't know how long, but it didn't have the Warriors in it, so it's kind of weird. But anyways, let's get started. We got a new sketch today, and I'm excited about getting started. Let me finish. Wait for my dog to finish drinking her water. We are starting a new sketch. Let's see here. We are going to do Emily Ratajkowski. She's a supermodel. She's an actor. She's an author. I don't know how she got in my YouTube feed, because I think her new book got released like a year ago. But I just watched that Netflix movie, Me Too. It was about the Harvey Weinstein. I want to say it's a scandal, but I'm sure you guys know all about it. But basically, that scandal and basically indicting Harvey Weinstein kind of kicked off the whole Me Too movement. And so Emily Ratajkowski has a story. It's a little later than the Me Too movement that she come out, but it's very similar. She had a little harassment going on in a video shoot, and but anyways, she ended up in my feed, and reminded me how beautiful she is, and I got on my Pinterest for my my inspiration page for portraiture, and threw her name in there and come up with some nice portraits of her to paint, and so we're gonna take an attempt at it. Let me see. I don't have my on. We're gonna try something different too. Gosh darn it! I've been watching a bunch of YouTube videos too for this guy that does portraiture, and so I'm kind of all over the place. It's been a week or so since I've streamed anything, so I'm a little out of sorts, but we'll get it figured out. Just real quickly. Library, my history. And between my dog and my refrigerator, my place is awfully noisy tonight. Let's see. I wanted to make sure I call this guy out, because I'm going to steal some of his ideas to paint this. I want to say Renzo. Yeah, Renzo Art. So if you go to YouTube, check out Renzo Art. He's been doing something similar to what I've been doing for a long time, and he does mostly portraitures. They're pretty small. They're like 6x8. They're very detailed. He does live streams, and he does them all in one sitting. So it takes him about 3 to 4 hours to do a very highly rendered portrait. What I like about his style is this is going to be an experiment. We're going to try. I haven't actually practiced his style of doing the sketching and the blocking, but we're going to try it tonight. He does. And then what he does is he brushes off the charcoal, because I notice whenever I do charcoal, that charcoal kind of bleeds into my paint, and so it kind of really grays everything, and it's kind of an ugly effect. But all he does is he knocks, when he's done with the sketch, he knocks off most of the charcoal. So I'm going to try it. That's what I've got here. I've got my sketching stuff. What else? So let's get started. I already squeezed out my colors. You can see they're probably arranged in a little bit different order. The only difference to what I've got online is I've been playing with, instead of a alizarin crimson, I've been playing with a permanent rose instead of permanent alizarin crimson. So the rest of it we've already talked about. Since we usually only get the sketching done on the first night, we'll we're not. I'll save going through the colors. I'll save going through the colors for part 2. But he's got a kind of a different way of measuring I want to try, and then he's got a different way of doing the block in that I may or may not try. I'm kind of more interested in how he does and how he measures. It's a lot less time consuming the way that he does it. It seems like, and yeah, I want to give it a try. I've got a link I said to this, and let me make sure that everything's set up since it's been a while since I've done this. Let me just make sure that it looks like I'm unmuted. You guys can see me okay. My dog decided to play with her toy, which is fine. Wrestling going on, that's what's going on in the background. And then for I just put away my sketch. This is another pencil. I think you could use it. The key is I'm going to, when I do my sketch, I've got a brush here that I'm gonna basically knock off. I'm gonna knock off the high spots on the charcoal with it. Something that I didn't do that he does is he always has a colored ground. I think the last video I watched he had a really orange colored ground. I don't really like doing. I'm gonna skip that part. At least for this one, mostly because I forgot about it and it's getting on to be about 9 o'clock tonight. So so it's 9 o'clock Monday, May 22nd. So let's get started, and I'll try to, as I'm calling out things that does, yeah, just check out his YouTube video, and I'll put his YouTube channel in the description after this gets uploaded. I'm probably not going to do her hands. I'm not a hand person yet, and it'd probably take me longer to do the hands than it would to do the portrait at this point. This is also a sketchbook addition to my. I haven't done a sketchbook in a while. The last painting I did of Tara, I did it on a panel, like I told you guys, because I'm going to give it to her. I've already told her. I think I got her address. Well, I still got to varnish it, and then I'll ship it up to her. But I specifically didn't do, and I won't do portraits of people that I know in my sketchbook. I don't know Emily Radzikowski, so I don't have to worry about her saying, "Hey, could I get that painting?" at any point. My sketchbook is primarily for me to practice and I've experienced this. Sorry, we could talk a little bit. It's been a week, so we could talk a little bit before we get started. My sketchbook and this easel, this H-frame easel in my kitchen, and one of the main purposes for it, well, not really the streaming bit, is to keep me painting. And so what keeps me painting is that everything up. I've always got subject matter, and I think we've talked about this. But the things that keep me painting, speaking from, because painting is hard. If painting wasn't hard, everybody'd be doing it. But some things, and what happens is, since it's hard, I'll inevitably find other things to do than paint. And so the way that I get around that is by setting myself up and making all the blockers to painting. So I have paint on my palette, as often as possible. It's not scummy. It's clean and dry. My brushes are clean. I have a surface always prepared to paint on, and if I don't have my sketchbook gessoed, I have panels that I could just grab off of a pile of panels and paint. I have my source images so that I have a Pinterest, basically inspiration album, and then I have an album in my iCloud of 5 or 6 images that I can just paint without searching the web. I think we talked last time about removing that whole thing of I want to paint. Shoot, what am I going to paint? And then on your laptop and spending 45 minutes looking for something to paint. Sometimes you find all of those things are blockers to actually painting. So I do things like I make sure my batteries from my laptop are charged up. I make sure that my brushes are clean. I squeezed out, even though I knew that I wasn't going to paint yesterday. I knew yesterday was going to be a day off from painting. I scraped off my palette and I squeezed out new paint. I've already got 4 or 5 images. Even if I didn't find this image of Emily and I didn't go down the whole rabbit hole of Me Too and Emily's Instagram, I have 4 or 5 other images that I could just say, I want to paint. Go sit down in this chair, whether I want to stream it or not, and just paint. And the sketchbook is part of that. And for me it's not. I don't want anything to be precious. I want to do a quick sketch and not fuss over sittings, which is actually a lot. I would love to get it down to one 3-hour session would be perfect, or one session that's under 3 hours from start to finish would be perfect. So anyways, I could totally go down a rabbit hole. All right, let's get started. So we're gonna do some things that we always do. I'm gonna say that this is the top of her head. This is her chin. What Renzo does, and I'm just gonna call him Renzo from here on out, is he divides the head kind of up into thirds. So I'm not doing any measuring really. Head in thirds. So, and I'll write on here real quick. But so this is the top where the hair meets forehead. Okay. You might not be able to see that. But anyways, so this is the line. This line here is the eyebrow. This is the bottom of the nose. And I should be writing in the middle of her face, but whoops, bottom of her nose, and this is bottom of the chin. So that's this top third. I see a problem with this measuring though already. So what he does is he says halfway here in this bottom third, halfway here is supposed to be the bottom of the lip. But Emily's lips, so Emily's mouth is open a little bit and her bottom lip is huge. So we're going to have to measure that one. But what he does is he says this line here is the bottom of the lips. But I can see right now that that's not going to fly. Let's get rid of a few of our sketches, and we'll do the same thing when we get done with our sketch. We'll knock this charcoal off so that it doesn't bleed into our paint. But we've got our lines, so I'll add them back. So this is going to be the top of her hair. She's centered pretty much right in the center. So this is where her top of her hair. This is going to be where her hair meets her forehead. This is going to be where her eyebrows are. And I could literally use my fingers, and it's kind of where the center of the eyebrow is. What you could do is just the same way that we measured before, is to fine tune. I think the hardest lines are the ones between the chin and the bottom of the nose. So if we take that, we can see everything is kind of squished down. So this line is actually a little higher, I think. So we'll move that up a little bit. And then that makes this eyebrow ridge. It's actually kind of where the bottom of her eyebrows are. And her eyebrows come really close to the center of her nose. I mean, her eyebrows are, I want to say, out of control. I was watching a video of her talking about her book, and like she doesn't pluck her eyebrows. Like they don't quite touch, but they come pretty far out into the center of the head as any lady I've ever seen. Not to judge, but just an observation being an artist, you know. Just doing. But so let's get started. Not that we haven't already started. So I don't want to sketch too much because we're just going to rub it off. Remember, this is where her tear ducts are. And I'm hoping this ultimately saves us more time. Because you know how much time I already spend on this drawing part. And I'm just finding ways to reduce the amount of that time. So I've already screwed up in that. We need to make sure that this and there's still some rules to apply, like so. It looks pretty good, so I think it's actually wider. I'm just going to guesstimate a little bit. And this line is their tear ducts because we want it kind of low on the eye. So it's pretty good. And then yeah, they already look kind of low to me. So if that's if that's where her there, if I make her eyebrows, if this is kind of like the bottom, that should be lower. So I think her eyes are actually a little higher. So let's raise it up. So this is the bottom of her tear duct. So that's the whole eye. This distance looks good to me. Let's do the same over here. Yeah, so this is actually too low. So this would be the bottom of her nose. Gotta say, sketching on this gesso notebook is a nice surface. It looks to me like where her lips are parted. Let's see. Where her lips are parted is really where that third is. So from the bottom of her nose to the bottom of her chin, it's about a third to where her lips are parted. So that's half. So let's see. I think the thing is we just have to move this down. So 1, 2. I'm gonna move her chin down to about there. So anyways, so we'll call that a third. That's another third. And so that puts the bottom of her chin about there. This is the center of her lips. This is the bottom of her lip. About how far it comes out. Where her iris is going to be. All right. I think we could do something with this. Let's open. Something I want to check again is, let's check the width of that mouth. It seems a little narrow to me. And then I think her head is more like this. Gotta be careful. I tend to make heads narrower than they actually are. This is a pretty big dark spot here. I'm using this I'm calling this negative space, so I'm measuring here to here. And then also, let me get my measuring, well, you should use a brush. So that, like the mass, I don't want to say massive, but not the line of her lips, but like where the top of her lip ends before that line. Let's see where that lines up. That lines up about to her right iris, the right side of her left iris. So, so not much bigger, but not much bigger. And then the bottom lip kind of starts right under it. So let's do it like that. Let's check the right side. So not the line of her lip, but the pink of her lip. And again, that in the left side of her right iris. Of course, that we really have no idea 100% if her irises are in the right spot, but her lips just look so much bigger to me, so I'm going to go with that. I scooted this camera up a little more. So that it's not so blurry. I'm hoping that to you guys. But I think that's good enough to start. Let's see, this kind of goes up here a little more. So I'll try to find a portrait that's a little more, that maps to Renzo's style or style of measuring a little more, just so that the math comes out right. But anyways, the distance, just to recap, from here to here is a third. From here to here is a third. From here to here is a third. And now for some reason when I do it, it's about right. So the eyebrow is down. The bottom of the nose is about a third down, and then the bottom of the chin is about a third down. And that looks pretty good if I go from here to here, here to here, and here to here. So, so that seems pretty accurate. What isn't accurate is, so let a little bit. So the next measurement would be is where are the tear ducts? So in the center third, so it would be a third down. Between the eyebrow and the bottom of the nose is where the tear ducts are. Then the eyes are, it's kind of from tear duct to the edge of the eye is the same distance between the tear ducts, which is the same distance between where the hair lies. But this one is cut off quite a bit, but it's about a half a third. The distance between the pupil to the outer edge of the eye would be the distance between the outer edge of the eye and where the hairline is, where the side of the skull is. So pupil to here is about that much. So this is about where the skull ends. The problem is she's got her head covered with her hair. So we'll do the same here. So that's roughly where her skull should be. But that'll help us with things like this, like where her cheekbone is. And we can't see it because there's hair over it, but her skull probably comes up around like this. And then the other measure that didn't work out for us with Emily's, I want to say unnatural lips, is the bottom of her chin should be 2/3 down between her nose, bottom of her nose and the bottom of her chin. So let's just try it real quick. Yeah. And the reason that this one breaks, that's not too bad. The reason that this one breaks is her bottom lip is extraordinarily large, and then her jaw is open, right? Her mouth is open. So that's what breaks that. That's what breaks this one down here, where the bottom of the lip should be 2/3 down from the bottom of the nose, in between the chin. So how do we do with my preamble and sketching? I'd say the preamble was about 10 minutes and sketching was about 30 minutes because we're coming up on 40 minutes. So let's knock off some of this charcoal. I'll put my pencil over here for now. And I'm just going to use my kneaded eraser to do it. Renzo actually uses a brush to knock his down. And what I'm hoping is this will keep the charcoal from bleeding into my paint. I'm actually going to use a paper towel too and knock off any of the high spots. Basically knocking off the powder of the charcoal. But see, the drawing kind of remains intact. So I think that's definitely good enough to get started. So unlike before, we would spend the whole session. So we would spend the whole session an hour and a half to get to this point, right? So we're 30 minutes in, say, I know it's 40 minutes in the video, but minus 10 for my preamble. So, and I think that looks pretty accurate. I think that looks pretty accurate. There's a things, I think her eye's a little bit smaller. you know, because we can see the bottom of her iris. But it's pretty accurate. So let's just pretend like it is, and let's get started painting. So I'm going to move all this pencil stuff over. Get it out of the way. And pull over some paintbrushes. And so we're not going to sketch now with our paintbrushes. We skip that step. We're going to go right into painting. And another thing that Renzo does is to check is, and I think I got a picture over here of it, is he does a value study in Photoshop. And so this, he basically breaks a portrait into, he does it in 3 values. I've got 4 values here. You see the dark black, the dark gray, the lighter gray, and then the highlight. So we're gonna paint this portrait in the same way. A good tool to do this in oops, I think somebody's chatting here. Oh, hey Harry, you're asking me a couple questions here. So are those water-based oils? No, they're not water-based. They're oil water-based before. I've used water. 2 workshops that I went to, the instructors actually said specifically to not use water-based. If I like to kind of do, like, I just spent $300 on a brush set for a workshop that I got coming up in with anyways, I try to do whatever the workshop supply list is. I try to do what the workshop instructor says. So, like I said, the last 2 instructors said traditional oils only, not water-based. I've used water-based before. I used them for 1.5 years, and I love them. My brushes last so much longer when I use them. And I can't tell at my level. You know, I liken it to, there is a little bit of a drop off in quality, like the final product. My final painting is probably something that only, but there is a different product. But I would say for the most people, especially beginners, I don't think it matters at all. For me, it doesn't matter at all. I had no problem with the drop off in quality, and I would say it's like a 3 to 5%, and probably something, to be honest, that only I noticed. I will say that it took me about 2 or 3 months to get used to the difference. But if I was starting out oil painting, I would absolutely start out with water mixable oils. You asked me a bunch of questions here, and I don't get questions too often, so let me just answer them. You say this is a perfect setup. Thank you. And then, do you think you can bring this setup to the field for outdoor meetups, or is it too much gear to set up? Yeah, this is an H-frame easel. This is the difference is the easel. The panel, or the palette, is from In Plein Air Pro. You can get it on Amazon for a few $100. This one's a little more expensive because it's got a glass top. But the rest of my setup, the easel is an H-frame easel. It's actually cheaper or less expensive than a plein air setup, but it's made for you wouldn't bring an H-frame to a plein air session. Get something plein air. You know, I use for my plein air stuff, I use a Strata. I've got an Edgebook Pro. This plein air Pro is really good as well. It's just a little bigger. I have a little tote that I put all my stuff in that I like to use the Strata, the Mini for. But anyways, thanks for the questions. I appreciate it. Let's get started. I got to get to the point. I was so surprised that I had hey Greg. Nice to see you, man. I was wondering about the last name. I'm like, I know a Schmidt, but I wasn't sure if it was you until you just said that. But anyway, if you heard me or whatever, it looks like somebody dropped. But I'll reply in text after the stream, and then if you do watch this back, you've got my answers. So, anyways, we're gonna paint. Hopefully, just 3 flesh tones, and they're gonna be in this value structure. So let me hide that. All right, and then let's get painting. So since we're going to jump into paintings, just really quickly, my colors are titanium white, cad lemon, cad yellow, golden ochre, cad orange, cad red, permanent rose, transparent red oxide, umber, light blue, French ultramarine blue. I've got ivory black. It used to be down here. I've got buff titanium. Rosy beige, and those are the last 2 colors. Rosy beige and buff titaniums are the ones that I use for my convenience colors. My medium is I've thickened it up a little bit. It's half Gamsol and half just straight up linseed oil, and I'm trying to use almost no solvent. Because I think it wrecks the quality of my paint, and then I just bought a linseed oil on eBay, but this is Grumbacher's linseed oil. I between linseed oils for what it's worth. So let's get started. Polluted somehow. I don't want to use any solvent, but there must be some black in this brush. And I'm just going to wipe this off. Clean colors, guys, clean colors. That is still a little bit dark for me, so I'm going to lighten it a little bit. Yeah, let's do that. And then, so yeah, let's bring our let's actually bring our little value study back up. So so this is going to be our middle value, which is basically kind of right down the center of her face and kind of a little hourglass, as you guys can see. I'm going to overlap a little bit some things, and I'm going to paint through some things. Like I'm painting this mid-tone where the highlights. So I'm gonna paint over the highlights. I'm gonna try to save the dark spots. There's no sense painting that twice, but this is all from that Renzo video. This is not typically how I would do it, but just like taking a workshop, you kind of gotta let go of the wheel and all right, and then looking at the value study, so this is going to come down a little bit. And you might not be able to see, but I can see the that's actually a little darker. But I can see the outline still underneath my paint, which is good and bad. At some point, we're going to have to cover that up. The spots that I'm preserving here are either going to be the darker value or the lighter value. Let's see. This side of the nose is pretty dark, so I'm going to leave this for the goal for the day. We'll do the block in, and then we'll call it. We'll save the next session for fine tuning. Actually, let me see if I've got a picture, a larger picture. I do have a larger picture. All right. On my iPad, I was talking to myself, but I was asking myself if I had a larger picture of the value study. If you don't want to, if you don't happen to have, if you decide that you'd like to try this method and you don't have Photoshop, because I know Photoshop is expensive, there's a $2 iOS app. I don't know if it's also an Android app, but it's called Notanizer, like Notan Studies is kind of the same thing. Basically breaking a scene into, just a handful of values. If you wanted to try that, I don't have good enough eyesight to do this on my even my iPad, let alone my iPhone. All right, so that's about what he's got covered for the mid value. The dark value now. So he doesn't use convenience colors. So I would like, just to keep good color harmony, since we are using these convenience colors, I would like to continue using them, but just maybe a darker version. So we'll add, to darken it up, we'll add the raw umber. Let's take a look here. It's redder, so I'm going to add just a little bit of that transparent red oxide. Let's see. There's any more people following. Oh, Greg was saying that I think you should bring the camera set up and go live in the field. Yeah, I'm going to. I mean, the plan is to do more of this kind of stuff. Most of these videos have just been me, but this is for the group. I just haven't figured out a way to make it portable. I still want to be able to paint, and to bring this whole setup to a meetup would pretty much guarantee that I wouldn't get to paint. Because there's a lot to it. Maybe if I just brought one camera instead of 3 cameras, and I was thinking about buying a new streaming camera. I've been shopping for one. There's a Sony that's pretty popular. I'm just playing with darkening this up some more. Let's take a look. It's a little bit lighter. Can't forget her neck. So I'm putting blue in here because this flesh tone is kind of orangey. So blue and orange neutralizes it or desaturates it. And then something that Renzo also does is he uses black, a little bit of black. I think he uses lamp black, not ivory black, but he uses a little bit of black, and then he uses just a little bit of white. I don't get the white bit because I'm trying to darken it, but let's just do what he does. So and he doesn't use any medium at all. I haven't used any medium either for my flesh tones. And then let me switch back real quick. Value study. Yep. See, I always do above the eyebrows lighter, but he's got a pretty dark value. Kind of for this whole area. I almost feel like we could go even darker. Let's go with that. Let's go with that. Oh, something else that Renzo does is he blends. He blends a lot, which I'm not sure how I feel about. Because we spend, as alla prima painters, we seem to spend a lot of time and effort learning not to blend. So it seems weird to blend. But I mean, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, if you look at his portraits, they're pretty stellar, but it is a different style. It's absolutely a different style than what I normally paint. All right, so and I'm painting over where the highlight is supposed to be. I know. We'll add it back. But yeah, he uses a really jacked up but soft brush, and he blends like crazy. I'm looking at this and I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing? It is weird trying someone else's style, for sure. So we'll put the eyebrows back on top of that. And I'm going to get another brush for that mid-tone. Ooh, I really want to bust out those new brushes that I got, but I'm going to save them for the workshop. Here. And this should all be this. let's see. I think I brought myself out a brush to blend. So I don't have a brush that's soft enough. But he spends a lot of time doing that kind of thing. All right. I'm just kind of comparing. Oops. Don't get our brushes mixed up. Use the negative space to help you check too. So like I'm looking at the distances between here and here. I know that I've got to get some value in there as well. But yeah, this is all pretty dark here. B. All right, so let's get the really dark value now. So let's see. This brush over here, got our dark brush. So I'm going really dark. Thing is, raw umber isn't really, it's like, I don't want to say a light brown, but it's pretty light compared to black. So we're going to add more blue to our mixture. We're going to add more orange to our mixture to gray it down. Add more black. And we're going to get some more of that transparent red in there because it is her tone. It's actually not that warm, but this is supposed to be our darkest value. But I think her hair is pretty light. Like if you look back at, like my reflexes of their hair is dark, dark, dark. But if you look back at it, it's pretty light because she's got a camera. Like if you look at the catch light in her eye, she's got a catch light that's just a little bit above her, but almost straight on, maybe just a hair to the left. Because you can see on her lip, the light is, the reflection is a little bit left, and you can see the catch light in her eye. It looks a little left to me. Is a little bit left, and then if you look at what really tells you is this one, the value study. I'm going to call it a no-tan. I think the no-tan, you can see the highlights are kind of left of center. So let's get this dark value down. So I'm going to switch back. So like here it comes out here, here. To do her neck, but so we'll do her neck later. But this comes down. dark here. Oops, kind of screwed up a little bit there, but it's fine, it's fine. The problem with that no-tan is her hairline. So her hairline and the skin that's in shadow underneath that hairline is the same value. They're different colors. Like if you go back to here, you could see that the shadow under her under her hairline here is a different excuse me, is a different color, but it's the same value. So got to be careful of that. All right, and I'll put this no-tan back up. And I'm not worried about the outer, so I'm not worried about this outer line over here where the hair is. I am just trying to frame her face. So I'm kind of worried about the shape of her face on that. Your eye a little bit. Let's see if we can fix that before we move on. Just a little bit smaller. So let's get back to this color or this value. Now this brush needs to be cleaned. I'm going to be able this brush needs to be cleaned. This brush needs to be cleaned. I was just thinking, Greg, you know my whole story about water mixable oils. This one's hard around because it's dark around the tops of the eyelids. It even goes into the shadow of the eyelids. But then over the top of it, I should probably be a little more careful, is the kind of that middle value. So same thing on this side. We've got the darker value. But then over the top of it, we've got that mid value. And that's probably a little too much detail for this little bit here, but we're gonna make our eyebrows are really dark on this side. Actually even connects there. That dark is just not dark enough for me. All right, so where else is really dark? All right, and then just for value's sake, so I am going to use a medium, and I am going to block in all this hair. Let's get a whole bunch more out there. The medium is just to get some better flow, better coverage out of this paint. So Renzo even made a point of saying medium. He uses it for the hair and background, but he doesn't use it on the face. So we're going to try the same thing. Let's look back at. So I think her hair goes down, so I can't really see, but it makes sense that it would. Most of the models that we have, they do that. They'll have one hair and for one side of their hair um, in front of their shoulder, and then the other side they'll put behind their shoulder. And this needs to be really dark in here. So and we'll fix those eyes so that they're actually looking at us. I'm just trying to talk in to. Oh, let me switch this back to the color image. Not great, not great. But we'll keep working on it. Looks like the background is kind of a greenish color, isn't it? It's kind of greenish. Yeah, we'll probably have to cut into that hair a little. $10. Yeah, we should probably finish up. Before we finish up, I would just want to add the highlights, the highlight values as well, at least to the face. So let's do that. So we'll get another brush. So back to our notan. Me too. So this is a light spot. Oh, I think we're gonna go even lighter. So I did cad yellow, but let's do a little bit of cad orange. Our buff medium, and then white. That's not reading that white for you guys. Let me see if I can adjust this a little bit. Let's see. Huh? Not camera. Let's see. Let's turn this. No. Yeah, we gotta center those eyes too. But let's do the highlights. here. Some down the center of the nose. Some kind of here. Boy, not a lot, is there? We'll leave the catch lights for when we do the eye. Man, I think we could go even lighter. Yeah, I don't like, that's too, that's too titanium white. Let's leave it for now. Adjust that later. I'm getting hungry too. I just realized I haven't had any dinner. My dog has had dinner. All right. I'm not sure how I feel about this. Much looser than I normally do. I'm going to do a little bit of that background. I'm going to start with this light blue. It's kind of green, so I'm going to start with the light blue. It's really a light green, so light blue. And then we'll try some cat orange in there. Remember, orange and blue neutralize. Still seems a little saturated to me. Let's get some white in there. More white. We're going to use some medium because we want to cover a lot of ground. My main thing here is I want to cut into that hair a little bit. You see me wiping my brush when I stay kind of on the edge of the hair to have the brush dirty, but if you don't want to go back into the cleaner parts of the green with a dirty brush. You don't have to wash the brush, but just wipe it off. A little more of this mixture. A bit greener. I just dirtied the whole pile by dipping in raw umber. Oop, gotta be careful. All right, let's do the neck. Let's do the neck and the skin on her shoulder. This brushes needs to be clean too. I don't know how they got dry so fast. I know how they got dry so fast. They're under my fan here. I was going to say because I used them on Saturday. All right, we're going to do the neck colors. Basically, just this one. I want to cover some ground, so I'm going to get some medium on there. This isn't her face, so I'm not exactly lying. Get that shoulder. Probably need to go a little darker under here. Cut back in with that hair. Pretty terrible. Pretty terrible. I have to think a little bit more about how I want to do that. I do want to knock that down though. All right, and that brush is dirty too. I'm gonna put it in my solvent. I do want to fix that those eyes a little bit. The neck is terrible. It's all bad, man. It's all bad. All right, so let's get this brush. I think we got to squeeze out. We should probably squeeze out some more colors. We're out of white, rosy beige, and raw umber. That's ivory black. So there's 3 of our colors. We got to get some white down too. All right. I don't want to squeeze out white on top of that yucky mess. So I got a palette knife here. So titanium white. Get a little more of that down. This is that alkyd white. so it's a little faster drying. Rosy beige. We used a lot of that today, but that's okay. I got the big tube, and then raw umber. We're not going to use any more of that light blue tonight, so I'm not going to squeeze any more of that out. But let's see if we can fix those eyes. The other stuff you can wait on. So I'm going to go dark. So I'm going to go black and transparent red oxide. And I'm going to use that for to shape my eyes. So and we know there's a tear duct there. I'm trying my hardest to ignore what's already on the the, the canvas. Because if you don't ignore it, you'll just basically recreate it. This line is pretty dark too, so I'll go ahead and put it in. And it falls pretty fast. And for now, I'm just going to use the phone for the whites of her eye over here. I can shape that iris a little bit, move it a little bit. All right, and then the left eye is a disaster too. So either tear duct is too low. So again, we're going to pretend that it isn't even there. And we're going to put our tear duct here. We'll put our tear duct here. It's actually darker. I'm going to go darker. So we're going to put the tear duct here. And we're going to cut. So this is the bottom of the lower eyelid. I want to make sure that the bottom of it starts at the same height. So tear ducts. That's still messing with me a little bit, so I'm going to erase that a little bit. So I'm going to erase it with the skin tone, which is buff titanium. So. Kind of dicking around a little bit here. All right, so the whole point of that is just to remind ourselves that this isn't a masterpiece. This isn't something that we need to be precious with. This is just basically a sketch and a block in. That in our lifetime, we're going to paint hundreds, if not thousands, of these portraits. And and this is practice time. This is not masterpiece time. So I was kind of not fixing it. So kind of the point of that, cutting that swath through the center of it, was just to remind myself that, hey, we're practicing here. We're trying out a new process. And you're kind of dicking around, not fixing it. Yes, it's a little intimidating to be doing it on a live stream, but we're all friends, right? So I mean, if we hold that, the bottom of that eye needs to come up even higher. Especially if that's where we're saying the tear ducts are. So the other thing that you can do is wipe it out and start over. Because we keep drawing over the same lines. So that's our tear duct. And I'm using this negative space, this triangle right here. Not that my eyebrows are any source of truth. But I'm using that negative space to help me figure out this as well. And the mistake that we got in before is this comes straight across, level with the tear duct, and then the eye kind of just dips just a little bit below it here. And that's it. And then we put our same thing again, using the negative space. So I'm using this triangle for the whites of the eye, or the sclera to help me measure. for now with just blackening it in. It's probably a little too big. Kind of bopping back and forth a little bit like I do. Well, make it look somewhat normal. Where's my blending brush? Yeah, I don't know how he blends. It's so fragile and delicate. I guess like that. I guess like that. These eyebrows, crazy. But I think that makes people interesting. Those eyebrows are definitely part of her beauty. But I don't think you notice it initially. I think you're like, what is it about this person that makes her interesting? Part of me is like, there's no way that you could end this video with this looking so crappy. Which is why I'm fussing. But I also need to go to bed. But I'm trying to decide. I think I like the sketching method that we did today. I think overall it's going to save, it will ultimately have saved me more time than sketching with the brush. Because remember how painful some of those videos were of me measuring, and as diligent as I was measuring, they still weren't quite right. And if both methods I end up with paintings that aren't quite right, then I might as well do the quickest one. Oh, let me switch back. I should have done this a long time ago. Yeah, when I think about like how far at the end of most of my videos we are compared to today, we're definitely farther along. It's pretty terrible though. Pretty terrible. But as I say that, as I say it's pretty terrible, it's definitely farther along. And this is that case of letting go and being okay with the ugly stage and just remembering that you just got to keep working on it and it'll get better. And quit blending the blacks into the freaking skin tones. But seriously, this is about being comfortable with the ugly stage. I think I'm going to do the value thing to check my work in the future as opposed to using it to build my work. Because I don't like my value. Going back and I'm kind of fixing the bulk of what I'm doing right now is fixing those values. And for what it's worth, he didn't paint the way that I did, where he tried to go off of the value study or the no-tan. He painted this painting. I gotta quit doing that. He painted his painting. That's the problem with blending. Is you gotta be careful about blending the wrong colors. So he painted his painting and then he went back and checked with a no-tan. So I thought I was skipping a step, but I kind of just did the same thing I cleaned up. That knocking around is my it's my maul stick. I don't like that burnt umber that I used for the value bits and everything either. That's why I'm wiping it all off. We tried. So let's just cover that back up real quick. Call it a night. Yeah, I think if I would have just skipped that value study step and just went right from that pencil sketch to what I'm doing now, I think that would have been better. That should be dark. All right, I'm gonna just keep fussing all night until this painting is finished, and it's 11 o'clock. So I'm gonna call it. I think it's a good start. I'll throw it in Procreate and see where all the mistakes are, but I think it's a good start. So we basically did two. We did the sketch and the block in one session, 1 2 hour session, and I can see we got some value issues. I don't think the drawing issues are too bad, but we definitely got some value. We'll take another pass at. I don't know why I put her parted her hair there. It's definitely more over the center of her nose. So let's knock that down before I go. We're just gonna mix some black. I think I'm just gonna get rid of it for now. But we'll worry about that later. Let's cover that up for now. Kind of flatten some stuff out, knock some things down just so that it's not a problem when it comes time. We'll have to put that back. I was thinking that earlier. I was trying to remember why I went on that rant about this being a sketchbook painting and not a masterpiece, and I remembered why. So before I go, I'll leave you with this. Maybe I'll finish talking about it on our next session. But I went doing these sketchbook paintings. That's not right. I went from doing these sketchbook paintings a couple a week. So I was kind of averaging, this is, I think, is my 18th vlog since I started doing this on this channel. And so I went from being pretty consistent to not posting anything for a week, except some shorts. And what I'd done is I made a big announcement about that big full-size painting of Jennifer that I was working on, and I made a big fuss about saying that was going to be my next painting, and I actually started on it. Line is, it's just too hard, and and so I got the sketch done, and I was happy with the sketch. I'm looking at it right now, and I was happy with the sketch, but then I started painting the face of it, and I just didn't like where I was going. So I was kind of and to me that is my masterpiece, or at least I was thinking of it in that way. And so what I'd done is I quit working on it. And not only did I quit working on it, I quit my sketchbook paintings and streaming with you guys. So me out of that funk, the sketch is really good. It's just the painting isn't very good yet. It's absolutely in its ugly stage. And it's not too bad. I don't want to share it with you yet, just because I don't want to fuss with it. But getting back to this sketchbook, and the other thing too is there's no pressure. There's no pressure in this. Like the last painting that I did of Tara, there's a little pressure in that because I know the person, and her brother is my best. So there's some pressure in that. So the reason that I'm doing this, where I've just got basically some fan art off the internet, and I'm in my sketch, and I'm just kind of going with the mindset of like, let's just play around, let's try a new technique, and with stakes. There's basically no stakes at all to this painting. There's no stakes at all for anything in my sketchbook. There's no stakes for sharing, the ugly stage with you guys. When I say no stakes, I kind of mean no penalty, because we're all on the same path, right? Where I've got to put my money where my mouth is, and if I say that there's no stakes for you, there's also got to be no stakes for me. Or I have to go in that mindset. So that's what this is all about. The rant earlier, I just lost my train of thought and didn't finish what I was trying to say. But this is how I did with the group. portraiture, just to be honest, for me, portraiture is just harder. And I think it's harder for most people. We have certainly a lot more plein air painters than we do portrait painters in the group. All right, I think we got some pretty good bones. I keep blending this raw umber in with my flesh tones, and I kind of need to stop and let it dry anyway. So why don't we call it a night? Thank you everyone for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.